Bill and I have done this program a handful of times in one format or another. And the last time we did it for SCORE, down in Bridgeport, or Easton, we said, okay, so if this presentation was a football game, I would be play-by-play and he would be color commentator. You'll see. Bill likes to talk a lot, me not so much, but like I have a plan. So with that being said, we want this to be as interactive as possible. So I don't have a ton of slides, but I have some. The whole thing that I want to get across here is we're not just going to talk about how to make videos or how to do social media, but how do we actually integrate strategies into real life. Traffic. Show up and stand out online by leveraging YouTube and social media. Can everyone see this? Mind the way? So it says at the bottom, it's a cartoon, I found the TV, it was under the remote. So the point I wanted to make here is, how many people watch commercials at home? Like, do you ever fast forward through the commercials?
If you can.
Yeah, if you can, right?
Yes. I don't have a TV.
That's good.
So how many people have their iPhone or their iPad with them when they're watching TV and they're doing multi-screen type stuff? And how many people actually are interacting with the show? I'm just curious about that. In other words, Survivor's on, they throw up the hashtag for Survivor, that's Tribal Council, hashtag. Anybody do that with the multi-screen Game of Thrones and you're doing conversations, stuff like that? And I just want to give you a little tidbit. What's happening in that part of the world and why that actually is really funny is the youth, which, when you talk about marketing, youth and technology are two major drivers of where the marketplace is going and how you need to contact these people. And if you look at the teenagers and some of the youth and the way they watch TV or they do things, they're watching TV in one hand, and in the other hand, they're using the iPhone or they're using the iPad, and they're following hashtags. They're getting involved in conversations on there. They're doing all these different things, multi-screen functionality. And that's why one of the reasons why this is an important slide is when you talk about future market share and how you need to get in touch with these people or these youth who, if you think about it, the teenagers and youth are your future consumers, regardless of how you look at it. So to really be ahead of your competition and make sure you keep your market share and leverage it for the future is you have to understand where the audience is now and where they're going to as consumers. So that's one of the reasons why this is an important slide like this.
And so I'm still new to the whole hashtag thing. I'm starting to Instagram now, but I don't know I never do a hashtag.
Your Instagram is fun though, I like it so.
But I want to put hashtag, I don't know what the hell to write here.
That is actually a hashtag.
So, to me, the point that I was getting at with this is we're moving into, or we're already in kind of an on-demand world. So, when we talk about how do we advertise our businesses, well, to me, it's Google's is kind of number one. Google and other platforms like YouTube. YouTube's the number 2 search engine, if you didn't know, owned by Google. Facebook, right? So the point is, when I want to know how to do something, like for example, my 7-year-old daughter fell. I don't know how she did this, but she had this big bruise on her knee. And so my wife went on Facebook and said, does anybody know, should I be worried about this or not? And instantly, she got back 3 replies from actual nurses. How crazy is that? So it's kind of like this world of, how do I fix my car? How do I change the battery in my car? I Googled it. Find a video. So it's the takeaway here is one real world strategy is if you want to get, I'm going to talk a lot about YouTube because that's kind of where I think that's low-hanging fruit. If you can figure out what people are searching for and you can create content and use, the keywords they're searching for, and just by the simple fact of creating a YouTube video and having those search terms in the title, you're going to get traffic. There's a lot of SEO companies and there's a lot of things that can be done to optimize a website, but we were talking about this earlier. It's moving. Bill and I, we're like SEO guys, but we don't concentrate on the website. We concentrate on the other properties, optimizing Facebook, optimizing YouTube, any place.
Optimizing your content, what you put out there, the way you speak about your content, how you optimize it, how you get your content noticed, and how far it needs to go from there. It's all part of organic SEO these days.
So knowing, I mean, the first step is knowing what your keywords are. What are people searching for? And it doesn't have to be just your business. It doesn't have to be, you know, content writer or, you know, web designer, Connecticut. That's like a great thing to concentrate on, but there's a lot of competition there. So if you had something more like, how do I get started, you know, if you were to create a video on how do I get started picking out a logo, or what are the top 3 ways to find somebody to help me with my logo. I don't know, I'm kind of making this stuff up, but the point is if you figure out what words people are searching for and you put that in the title of a YouTube video, that's a great way to get found. Any questions on that?
And that's actually a really good point. Being a thought leader or becoming the person who's a leader of authority in a specific subject is how you leverage how your content gets found. So for the example that Mike said is, if you're a computer pro, your title of your video shouldn't be like, you know, I show you how to do this. It really should be Computer Pro shows you how. So that whatever words that people are actually, that you feel are searching in Google, and there's also tools that you can use on Google on finding relevant keywords that people are searching for. The way you title your YouTube video, the way you describe it, things like that, using the keywords is the first portions of these things is how these videos get found in index. So it's really important to, you know, a lot of people don't put enough effort into what they're going to title a video, but title the video the way that you would search for what you are looking for, and that's how you do it. Don't try and be fancy and think, you know, you need to title it like really cool or anything. The whole idea is to have it found. So do things that have it found. Simple as that.
So I'll share real quick my strategy. I'm going to show you some examples in a little while, so you'll see more, but when you're titling, the title is the most important part of a YouTube video. You want to start the leftmost side with the keyword. And then usually you do like a, so here's an example. So like if it was like web design CT as the main keyword, and then the hash pipe.
Hashtag. The skateboarding slip. The snowboarding has got Sochi on your mind.
What do you call it again?
Hashtag.
No, the up and down.
Oh.
Backstroke?
That's a
Backslash.
Backslash.
No, it's an up and down
Pipe.
pipette. All right, that thing. So that's kind of, you do the keyword, the pipe thing, and then some kind of compelling thing. So you got to picture. So picture somebody types in, if it's web design CT or it's logo design CT. So now your video is now on the page of Google. What are you going to write after that pipe thing that is going to get somebody to click on it? So you don't want it to be salesy. You want it to be, you know, expert reveals top 3 reasons. I mean, this is where you can get creative, but you want it, what is going to get them to click on it? But the keyword's got to be in there, or else it's not going to work. I mean, that's a keyword has to be in there for the whole Google thing.
Absolutely. If you're doing how-to videos, realistically, you should start with how to use Facebook, how to do that. Because if people are going to be searching for how to do something, you want your title to match how they're searching. So like when I create my social media marketing videos where I'm helping people understand how to do Facebook ads, for example, I do how to create Facebook ads, and then I start going into other descriptions. Or I might even start with Facebook ads, how to blah, 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 blah. So understand how people are searching, and then that's how you title your video. Then when you get into the description, it's the same thing. The first few words, and I know it sounds redundant, but the first few words of your description should be basically the same exact thing as how to. Then when you get into things like annotations, you know, you can get really deep into YouTube on how to do things like this with annotations and backlinking and all this other stuff. Your annotations should match that as well. So when you start putting all these bits and pieces that are in there that are consistent and have a specific language, your chances of ranking higher on a search when people are searching on Google become increased. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of competition out there. You can't always promise that you're going to be up near top. You know, there's been times where I've searched for my videos on that. And one of the things that people forget is don't search with your own. If you're logged into Google at all, like if you use Google Plus or anything else, or if you have a Google channel, log out of it and search, because it will give you search results based on what you do. So it might seem like you're coming up #1 and you're like, oh, my video is coming up #1, this is great and everything. Yeah. And it's because Google's been tracking you for the last year, and that's the video you seem to visit the most all the time. So make sure if you do searches and you're trying to experiment, log out or log into somebody else's Google if you have access to that, and then do the search so that it doesn't have a reference point.
I have a big question.
Big question.
Yes.
Yes.
Is there any way to anonymize yourself? Like, can I get rid of Google's knowledge of my activities so I can do clean searches?
Great
Can I do
can.
it easily and so I can remember it?
It's not easily, because Google doesn't want to make it easy, because they have a vested interest to keep your data so that they can market AdWords to you. There is a way to do it, and it's like 5 or 6 different clicks to do it, and explaining it here without the computer in front of me is difficult.
Do you have a video for that?
No, that I don't.
Aren't there extensions?
You can, but here's the funny part is, while on the surface it's doing it, and when you go to search, like what I gave you an example before, you will be able to clean search stuff like that and not be, biased.
Yeah.
Served.
But here's the
I don't want to
thing.
be served.
In the back end, though, they're still recording you because they still have a vested interest to show ads to people who the ads are relevant to you, because they need to show, quote unquote, an ROI to people who are paying for ads. So while you searching it is fine, they're still tracking your data, though, for ad delivery. So you're still going to see ads that you probably maybe don't want to see, but based on your history.
Aren't there extension plugins for your browser?
Yeah, you can get stuff like that. I'm putting it this way, and I've done a lot of research on this stuff now because of privacy, because social, one of the aspects of what I do is privacy, because social is probably one of the least private things you can do on the internet. So I do a lot of research on this, and the more I read about it, the more I'm really starting to discover and understand that there is no such thing as privacy on the internet, no matter what extensions you put in, no matter what, because as long as you have an IP address and you have a cable internet coming into your house, data gets transferred no matter what you do. There's a point A to point B, and no matter what protocols you put in place, the data still streams through, and there's ways that they can plug things into bits of data to come in and out of a computer that still track things to a degree. You can hide some things, but there is still a tracking system, and whether it's Big Brother and we're not aware of it, or we're all in the Matrix, or something, I don't know. But if you're worried about privacy, don't turn your computer on. Other than that, you're I mean, that's what it comes down to these days.
Work on a throwaway computer at Starbucks.
Yeah, go to Starbucks and use go to the library and use their computer if you're concerned about privacy. Oh God, yes, coffee.
So the flip side of that, the good thing about the whole Google knowing what you're doing and the Google Plus thing, that's the main reason Bill's saying to log out, is because if Google is, they have their own social network. So the reason why you want to promote your own Google Plus network and friend all your, get a thing just like you do on Facebook with Google Plus, is because then their results will be skewed to you.
Right.
So if my friend Joe is in my circle, or he likes my whatever +1 or whatever, so then when he's doing a Google search, my stuff is, if I'm relevant, will be more likely to show up on a first page. So even though he knows me, how many people, they don't always remember us, unfortunately. So we're going to talk about that in a little while with email marketing. But does that make sense? So that's the case for Google Plus. It's a minus for privacy, but
yes.
There is another alternative. Sometimes I go to Best Buy and use their computer.
Yes, exactly. So go to a library, go to Best Buy. If you really need to be private, use someone else's computer. Go to your neighbor's house. They're on vacation.
sure.
Do what we gotta do.
Referrals. I think one of the reasons why people don't refer as much is because it's a pain. I know when people ask me for referrals, I think about having to pick up the phone and say, I know a really good financial planner. You got to call. Have you ever had a financial planner ask you to give referrals or to introduce people to them?
Every single one.
Anyone? I guess I'm alone. I have 5 financial planners that want to connect, all my LinkedIn connections so they can hound them. So, the reason why I'm talking about referrals, and the reason why in the context of video, is because what if you had a video that kind of summed up your business in a way that was highly personal, kind of like they get to know you, get to meet you. So now you can give this YouTube link to your clients and say, here, pass this on to somebody. So now you've made it from a, maybe having to make a phone call or making a real referral to, I can just post it in social media, I can email it out to somebody, here, check them out. So that's what I said here. Referrals make it easier for clients and friends to refer others to you. And then, this isn't really relevant, but the cartoon says, now if you all open your laptops, Greg and Tracy have YouTubed their vows. And they're at the wedding chapel.
And that's a really good
I guess
point.
that wasn't as funny as I thought it was.
Yeah, I laughed. It's the 4th time I've seen it, and I laughed.
Okay.
But that's really important. Mike makes a good point that referrals are a lot easier in a digital world rather than having to pick up the phone. I mean, I'm still a huge proponent on picking up the phone. I mean, pretty much anything I've ever done, any sale I've ever closed. While it's nice to go by emails and social media, you eventually have to pick up the phone and actually speak to somebody because we're all humans. Some of us anyway. But still, we still live in a digital world. So making referrals easier by having some kind of video where it's personal, and then being able to share that easily with a lot of people is important. And I think you're going to see ongoing more and more of type of video referral type of stuff where there's an interview process or somebody gets who they are or what they do on a video, and then being able to share that. And it's way more powerful than a photograph. It's way more powerful than just a LinkedIn profile because, we were talking earlier at the table, the human mannerisms of what somebody is, you can't capture in any other way other than video. How they speak, with their body language, things like that. And humans have that in it, that piece of them inside that reads that stuff. How many times have you started speaking to somebody and you either like them or you don't like them almost immediately kind of thing? And, we're wrong a lot of times because maybe of our own things and stuff, but things like that where it's a video referral is perfect. And one of the benefits also is it's so shareable. In this digital world, that one video that's posted on YouTube can go to Facebook, can go to your LinkedIn profile. If anybody hasn't used LinkedIn in a while, they have all new applications where you can add videos right to your LinkedIn profile now. So not only do you have your summary where it's who you are, what you do, your history, but right within the summary section at the bottom you can add videos now. So how powerful is it now to say, here's my video, plug it into your LinkedIn so they can read about you, and there's the video about who you are, what you do. Of you actually speaking about it, or even having somebody else do it for you if they interview like one of your clients or something about what you've done for them, popping that YouTube video or onto your LinkedIn profile. How powerful is that? Because if you think about what LinkedIn most of the time, except for the recommendation section, which is really powerful, it's a lot of who you are and you're telling people who you are. So how powerful is it if you can get somebody else to say something about you, put it into your LinkedIn video? Things like that. So it becomes really a powerful tool. Yeah.
So there's lots of ways to go with this, but one of the reasons, you think about the bigger plan, if you were, I guess the takeaway for this slide would be, decide on a home base for your online presence. If you're a one-man band or you have a bigger company, whether you want it to be your LinkedIn profile, if you're going to do that, make it perfect. Have a video on there, test the recommendations. And so when you refer somebody there, they know everything they need to know there because people are checking you out whether you like it or not.
Yeah, and even LinkedIn has what's called company pages. Most of LinkedIn is based on personal. It's Bill DeRosa is the primary thing, and that's how really you build relationships on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a company page portion, like I have a Talking Finger company page on there. I'll be honest with you, they're almost useless. I've never gotten a lead out of my company page on LinkedIn, but I get tons of leads and clients because of William DeRosa representing Talking Finger. So in your case, and I know what you're selling, the app and everything, honestly, it's probably not worth you setting up a company page based on your app. What you should do is update your profile to show that you've created this app, talk about the app, and then go into things like groups, things like that. Search out groups where you can talk about the app. And I know yours is geriology. Am I saying it right?
Well, genealogy or
Okay.
gerontology.
Finding groups on LinkedIn where you can talk about your app in a non-salesy way, because the worst thing you do is go into a LinkedIn group and try and sell. It's a relationship building tool. So really for you is to seek out groups like that on LinkedIn and just start getting some feedbacks, introducing yourself, things like that, and building relationships. And then you'll find that if you do it the right way, people actually start seeking you out based on the conversations and the things that you said in groups.
Maybe go in and ask some questions, kind of look
It's
for
also
advice.
perfect for market research. I use LinkedIn for a couple of different ways, and I know we're going off a little topic, but I feel this is kind of important. But there's a couple of ways to use LinkedIn. One is I use it a lot for market research because there's like social media marketing groups. There's a lot of things in there that I probably would never learn on my own that others find because there's so many micro news sites that like find a story about Google Plus, for example, that I wouldn't find in mainstream, but that they found. So you have market research, things like that are perfect for you to use it for, and then also to, everything else that you do. Sorry to go off on a tangent. As Mike said, I like to talk. I think my wife has said 18 words in the last week to me or something.
Your poor wife.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
My kids all get a blank stare after a while, like, all right, Dad.
I actually have a sheet, make sure you grab it on the way out, that has the different ways that you can use a video. So one of the other reasons why I love video, not just because that's what I do for a living, but that is what I do for a living. But the thing about video, so if you create that content first, it's easy to repurpose and to use in multiple ways. So if I made one video about me, about get to know me, about my company, now it can go on YouTube, and just by doing that, you're going to get search traffic. I put it on my website. Now I'm going to get traffic to my website. I have something to put on my LinkedIn profile. I can put it in a little Facebook tab, right? There's a little place for that. You can do a YouTube
Tabs
tab.
are going away, but yeah.
Well, but my email signature, this has been very useful. I have every time I send out an email, below my name and all my phone number and all that stuff, I have not sure how to get started with video, watch this first. Mm-hmm. So now, who knows where my email is going to get forwarded or who's going to pass it on. Talk about making it easy for people to refer me. It's like, forward my last email that I sent to them. And now I'm attached to that email in real life.
Yeah, and that was to Dylan's point. That's when you create any kind of video or any kind of content, one of the things you want to look at is how far can we disseminate this content to get the most bang for the buck, I'll call it. And it can even go as far as we did a video. A company did a video for us that they submitted to us that was a piece of content that was like 10 minutes long. Well, we actually broke it down and created an Instagram campaign around it because Instagram is only 15-second clips. But so what we did was we created a 10 Instagram clip thing that told kind of a story in backward. We actually uploaded everything first, and then now when you go through the Instagram stream, it's actually backwards, and it starts from the beginning towards the end kind of thing. So we actually did it a weird way to make the story sound really cool and everything. But dissemination of content is really important, repurposing, things like that. One of the hardest things in social is coming up with content. Trust me, I have to come up with content for 62 clients, or 63 clients on a weekly basis, on almost a daily basis. So we get a little crazy trying to figure out what the hell to say a lot of times. So being able to take a piece of content and using it for a lot of different pieces is awesome.
And so a good place, if you're wondering where do you start with content, I think the best thing to do is start a new list. Get a piece of paper and keep it with you in your pocket for a week and jot down all the questions that people ask you every day. Whether it's a client or a prospect, people ask you questions, stupid or not, or intelligent, the question is still something that they might be searching for. So the answer is to what to create content about, it's in the questions. Get a list of questions, get a guy to set up a video camera, and I know somebody, and have them interview you and ask you those questions. And then edit that up. To Dylan's point, you could have 10 videos out of 1 hour session. And
yes,
then
the strong
disseminate
moment
those
over
videos
there.
over time. Well, there's all kinds of tools. I mean, the best tool to use is the Google keyword tool, which is now hidden in AdWords. So you need an AdWords account. You don't have to buy anything, but you need to sign up for an AdWords account. And there's a thing in there called keyword tool. And you go in there and you enter things that you think people might search for, and it'll spit back real numbers. So you might have. So start with the list that I said before. Create a list of topics that people might search for, and then look for some of the keywords in those questions. Put them in the keyword tool, and it'll spit back. This is scientific and will tell you, are people searching for those terms or not? So this way, you don't waste your time creating content on things people aren't searching for. Does that make sense?
And so talk to your web guy too. Yeah, there's one back over there too. You know, ask your if you have a good web person who's doing your website, ask them what keywords are working for the website, or ask them what keywords they feel would be relevant for a specific video and stuff. You know, I know some of them are very helpful with things like that. So, you know, utilize those type of tools and utilize those people, and ask them those questions as well as doing your own research, because people who do websites every day have usually a pretty good intuitive understanding of how people search, because they do it every single day for the web. And it's not that much different than video. You know, it's pretty closely related to that type of stuff. While your website is more, I'll call it brand-centric, it's encompassing a lot of different things, where a video might be a lot more specific, but it's still good to ask those type of questions with keywords and such. Yeah.
Just like it makes little sense for you to optimize for your company name.
Yeah.
You know,
search for your company name.
If somebody already knows your name, they're going to find you one way or another. You want to search for industry, you know, broader industry terms.
Yeah, if you search Talking Finger, hey man, I'm #1 in every day. I take page 1 and 2.
How much do you pay for that?
0. You search Talking Finger, I come up on page 1 and 2. There's no competition for Talking Finger. My website, my Facebook, my Twitter, my Pinterest, my Instagram, everything comes up as Talking Finger. That's great. Who the hell's searching for Talking Finger if they need social media marketing? Well, hopefully they will sometimes, but you know, they're searching for social media marketing or things along those lines. So it's a good point, because people actually do that. It's like, I optimize my website or this, and it has my company name on it, so it'll be found better. And I'm like, yeah, that's not what people are looking for.
All right, so moving on to.
I got a question. One more.
Yeah.
Sure.
Do you put up all your videos on YouTube?
I do.
I do. You put them on YouTube first.
Vimeo or anything else?
Well, I do. If I have time, I'll do Vimeo also.
You do both?
Yeah. So YouTube is #1 because it's owned by Google. It's like I said before. That's where people. If you want traffic, you use YouTube. If you only care about it looking the best, then Vimeo. But why not do both? Yeah. But definitely don't just put it on your website. Like I recommend putting it on YouTube or Vimeo, and then embedding that on a website, versus actually putting it, like uploading it to your website server.
Oh yeah. Now, okay, just to be really clear, YouTube is the business of one thing, making sure that the video plays on all platforms, all medias, all things.
Right.
Why are you going to try and outdo YouTube in terms of hosting?
Yeah.
There are settings, and you'll have clients tell you, oh, I don't want the YouTube banner, I don't want this, I don't want that. You can do the research, do a little how-to search. You can minimize all of that. You know, you have the minute the video starts, the YouTube thing closes it out. So yes, absolutely, put your videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
Let them do it for you.
I never allow a client to house a video on Facebook, for example. Like, I have clients who say, I want to post this stuff on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no. They're like, why not? I go, I'd rather you honestly start a YouTube channel. We'll put the video on YouTube, and then we'll link it to Facebook so it's housed on YouTube. Any video we ever do gets housed on YouTube first, and then it gets disseminated out to the social networks. And I feel very strongly about that, because the research shows that that's just the best way, and it's perfect because it said it's optimized for every device. If I access it mobilely, where a lot of times, you know, good web people will optimize it well and everything else like that, but you know, sometimes people use bargain website developers and stuff like that, and the video's not optimized, and you'll look on the phone and you're seeing like half the video, and people are more and more mobile these days, and if you don't have a responsive type site or responsive things like that, when they look at it and they access it with an iPad or an iPhone, they're gonna look at it, see half a video, or it's crappy and everything, and what are they gonna do? They're not gonna watch it. So it's important to make sure things are optimized that way.
Yeah. So, moving on. So now that you're all dressed up and you have traffic and you're getting found, and you know. So now, how do we make video that actually builds trust and credibility? So you want video. You don't just want to stand there and say, "Hi, I'm Bill." And I'm reading off a script, and it just looks like it just looks horrible. So what I have here, build trust and credibility by providing value up front, in parentheses, before money is exchanged. So we may all have some proprietary information, and we don't want to give away stuff for free without being paid for it. But if somebody's looking for something, when somebody goes to Google, they're probably not looking for an ad, right? They're looking for an answer to their question. So, I mean, you have those people that are looking for pizza place, plumber, you know, they have what's called a buy keyword. They're looking for, you know, they want to just find a company like the Yellow Pages. But a lot of times, for probably what a lot of us in this room do, is we want to get people at the early stages of when they're thinking about doing something. So we want to create content that educates, that builds, that makes us look like the expert, that elevates our status. So this way, they're like, "Well, I want to learn. I need a logo, or I need a brochure." Well, you don't want to sell them. You want to help them, and they're like, "Oh, I like this guy. I like this woman. I think I'm going to find out more." So, are you going to say something? Because I lost my train of thought. I have some examples.
Yeah, no problem. Well,
But I feel like there's more here.
Credibility is really important, and you know, inherently that's also one of the values of social media. Social media is probably the hardest place to bullshit people because honestly, it's an open public forum. So, you know, for example, on my Talking Finger Facebook page, I've never deleted one thing, and there's one or two things where, you know, people have posted something and I don't delete, but I address it. But you know, it builds credibility when you are an open, upfront person and you're honest and all these other things. I think, you know, one of the things that social media has helped is businesses become a little bit more honest and upfront and engage with people, because if you don't address it as a business, guaranteed they're going to go to their personal profile, for example, and loudmouth you or blast you or things like that. So credibility is built on social and these things, and the tools that Mike's talking about building videos and becoming a thought leader and stuff like that. So credibility is kind of like right where it's at right now, and it's going to be the future too. You know, more and more businesses and people, consumers, are going to look towards videos and social and all these other things to find out about companies in an honest way. Power's in consumers' hands now. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, so I mean, pretty much what you're saying is there's nowhere to hide. I mean,
no.
People are going to write reviews about you. If you're not an honest business person, you know, it's going to be really hard to stay in business.
Good.
But so one thing I was going to say was, you can write all kinds of great things on your website. You can say, you know, you can tout yourself. You can say all these benefits that you provide. But actually, one of my new favorite authors is Seth Godin.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not getting his emails, you should. He's a really amazing. But one of the things he wrote not too long ago was, you know, you can have the best USP. You know, what is it? Unique selling proposition. You can have like
USP.
the best tagline, but if people don't believe what you're saying, if they don't trust you, then those words are falling on deaf ears. So what's better than having a real video on your website that people get to know you? And I remember, you know, think about communication, right? So nonverbal communication is more powerful than any kind of written words. You know, our physiology. Bill, what's the statistic? It's like there's a 70% of our communication is nonverbal, or it's our physiology.
Yeah, about 35 becomes what you say and how you say it. The rest is the nonverbal.
Right. So if I write something, I'm not communicating fully. Has anyone ever called somebody and they didn't know who they were calling? It was a recommendation, a referral, introduction, and they got their voicemail. And as soon as you get their voicemail, and then you hear their voice for the first time, and you get a mental image of what they're like. So we're taking this to another level. So it's kind of like if somebody can hear you talk, in addition to just reading the words, they're gonna like you and trust you more than if they just read the words. You step it up to a video, and they get to see you. They get to see your mannerisms. They could watch you for 30 seconds, and they're gonna feel like they know you. It's happened to me tons of times. So, any questions on that? I'm going to show you some examples.
Are there other ways, you just maybe talk about ways, I just want to know what the top 3 ways to build credibility. So you're saying the video obviously is communicating in a way that you can't communicate just with words. Is there anything else, like endorsements or, you know, having case study work or,
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I mean, testimonials, things like that, case studies. You know, there's a lot you can do in the digital world. Like, you know, we were talking about LinkedIn earlier. One of the things that I'm so surprised people don't take more advantage of is recommendations on LinkedIn. You know, people seem to be so afraid to ask people for recommendations on LinkedIn, and I don't know why, because I actually speak about LinkedIn specifically to businesses and organizations, especially ones doing B2B and stuff, because that's where a lot of B2B lives, is on LinkedIn stuff. And when I speak to them and I ask, how many people have asked for a recommendation on LinkedIn in the last 6 months? You'd be so surprised that only a few hands go up that people have proactively asked for a recommendation.
But when you have clients, they're really busy all the time. It's kind of
You still have to ask. You ask digitally too, though. You don't have to ask personally.
I have. Yeah,
And they don't
I
write
know
them
people
on.
are busy, and they always say,
I
"No,
hound
I'm
them.
sorry, I'll get to that. I'm busy."
Still asking for it is good. You know, things like that, but, you know, that's how you build the credibility. I still feel like video, even though Mike's here, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up his butt, but I do feel like video is probably one, well, I don't know. But I do feel like video is like one of those ones that, you know, it really does build credibility for people to see and hear you. Asking for recommendations, asking for testimonials. There's so many ways to build credibility. Just your content stream over a long term. You know, you think about like a Facebook page, like on Talking Fingers Facebook page or our Google Plus. Building credibility sometimes takes a little time. But if you do the right things and you're asking the right questions and you're engaging with your audience the right way, credibility kind of almost builds itself. When you go to my Facebook page or you go to any of my social assets, and I've been on them for 4 or 5 years now, you start reading back on our wall, you can see that people have asked questions on our wall on a continual basis, and I give thoughtful answers, and they're the right answers and stuff like that. So credibility sometimes is almost just based on your engagements and your actions on social networks, even more so than asking people to do things. If you're engaged with people, people will naturally ask questions and you become a thought leader on that stuff as well.
And so the name of the bottom line is providing value.
That's it, exactly.
I mean, it's as simple as that. Forget about selling. Give away first. Give away. Yeah.
You know, Bill, you said something earlier too, I think ties to this issue of credibility. If you end up getting people, maybe through the testimonials or something, acknowledging something that isn't quite perfect about you, or they had skeptical feelings.
Absolutely.
Like, when I first heard about what Billy and Talking Fingers could do, I said, no effing way that's going to happen. But after I met with him and we got a 23% increase in 2 months, I started thinking, maybe this guy's real.
Right.
If you use that sort of, listen to the way people are watching for the first time, and give a sense of what would you really be thinking? This is too good to be true. But then give testimony that it wasn't. Then you really get a lot of credibility chopped by somebody else who's giving it to you.
Absolutely, you know, having other people talk about you or things like that. And, you know, one of the things that it's funny is that people are so afraid, like as a company or something like that, to have negative reviews or things like that. Like, I've come across clients or potential clients where we first sat down and like, we really don't want to be on Facebook because we're afraid that someone's going to write something bad about us on our page and blah, 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 blah. And it's horse crap. I'm going to tell you right now, it's horse. I want to use the S word because this makes me mad. One of the things about bad things is people will say it anyway. The idea of giving a platform to say it on where you can address it and respond to it is so much more important than them going to their own. They're going to go, if you don't address it on your company Facebook page, guess what? They're going to their personal profile where they have 700 friends, and they're going to blast you there. You don't know about it, you can't address it, and there's nothing you can do about it. So there's days of people being afraid of negative reviews. I want to smack them in the head sometimes, to be frank, because honestly, you're hurting yourself. Because I'll give you another little secret. If someone posts on Facebook's, on Talking Fingers Facebook page about a negative review, guess how many people see it? Me and maybe a handful of other people, because people don't get notified that they wrote on my Facebook wall. So I can address it in almost a quiet way and squash it. If they go to their personal page, like I said before, the difference is on Talking Fingers page, 15, 20 people, 30 people might say it, and I get a chance to address it. If they go to their personal profile, 700 people have seen it, and their friends can then share it, and so on. So all of a sudden, not only their 700 friends can see it, but they may share it, and now you're up to 1,500 people who have seen this thing, instead of you just giving a platform for them to say something. Huge difference, and you know, it makes me a little mad when I know I get frustrated, but you know, people don't look at the realism of what's going on in the digital space with testimonials and things like that, and they don't understand, so they try and just shy away from it when it's really the opposite you need to do. Give them a platform. Sorry.
No, that's good. I like getting you worked up.
Yes, I get worked. I need more coffee.
You had coffee and ice cream over there. I didn't realize.
Yeah, sorry.
So the takeaway here: so provide value, and whether you're doing a post on, on LinkedIn or on your Facebook page, you're doing an email blast. I always would rather say something other than blast, but that's the word. Try to provide value. The way I do it is, I'll talk more about this in another slide, but I'll provide a tip or some kind of value, and then maybe at the end, P.S. By the way, if we're running the special, or people don't want to be sold to, so create an audience first, and then the selling will happen. So,
and I didn't want to get into email marketing, but that's actually what he said is a big mistake. Email marketers, when people say email marketing doesn't work, it still does work. The idea is change how you're doing your email marketing. I still see emails that come through that are very salesy rather than informational. If you look at the emails Mike sends out, they're awesome because here are my tips to improve your business. I'm helping you. And then, by the way, you can contact me if you have any needs. Where I see a lot of email blasts that are, hey, here I am, here's my latest product, buy my latest product, do this. And that's when email marketing does not work. You have to provide value and credibility to people for them to build relationships so that they eventually get into the sales funnel.
all right, so I know no one can read this because I can't even read it. But
I don't know what the hell
this is a picture of Yellow Pages next to a tree, and the caption says, "Dear Bell and Yellow Pages, we all have a thing called the internet. Please stop wasting stuff." I don't know about you, but I get Yellow Pages dropped on my porch all the time, and it goes right from the porch to the waste basket, and it's just...
And the best thing is when they deliver them in February, and the cloud comes by,
Yeah.
and then the snow melts, and there's...
In April, you find that big soggy mess underneath.
It's like, what, you picked now to deliver these things? I mean, it's New England.
All right, so...
That's because they're selling ads.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. They have to deliver it by a certain date kind of thing. But you would think after all these years living in New England, they would change the fiscal year or however they work it to sell the ads. It's like...
All right, so I'm going to show you just a couple. I added this just the other day to this presentation because you'll see. This helps.
Because you'll see.
In terms of how to make videos, what's a good video, what's a bad video, from my perspective. So here's one.
I'm going to take a picture.
Greetings and welcome to our neighborhood at Platinum Property Realty. My name is Bill Carshare, and I have the leadership privilege of supporting the best collection of real estate professionals ever assembled in the greater Norwalk area who are interested in earning the right
sorry it's
to
not
be
louder.
your family realtor.
But
they are
you see
distinctly
what he's looking
different,
at?
and I actively sought out
Who's he looking at?
an experienced
Cue cards or something off to the
of
side.
local
Yeah.
neighborhoods
His
and were
words. That's what he's
trustworthy.
looking at.
They must also have as part of their DNA the ability to work in a spirit of
I
cooperation.
feel bad
with
making
other
him. He's a
agents.
great guy. I don't
And
want
they had to have
mockery
a
out of him.
servant.
This is bad.
Mock away.
So
This is what not to do.
Yes.
yeah,
Okay, good.
but this was up there. This is on his website, and he's a big deal down in Norwalk. All right, so here's what I did for him.
Despite this video.
Exactly.
Greetings and welcome to our neighborhood at Platinum Property Realty. My name is Bill Carshare, and I have the leadership privilege of supporting the best collection of real estate professionals that have ever been assembled in the greater Norwalk area who are all interested in earning the right to become your family realtor. They are distinctly different in that they have a good working knowledge of the immediate neighborhoods,
All right, so I'm not going to
and
do
they
the
are
whole thing,
all extremely
but a
trustworthy.
couple things.
They also must have
Same scripts. Now, I hate using scripts. I have this thing called Shower and Show Up, which is like my flagship. That's what it's called.
Isn't
There's
that
a
the cleverest
card.
title ever for something?
So I love this, I'm going to interview you and just kind of get your impromptu, your whatever the word is, your real responses, and then I edit it. And I could turn like an hour conversation that we're having into a short 2-minute video, and you get, the real deal. But anyway, so this was scripted. But I didn't have him read it, and I didn't have him memorize it. I fed him a line at a time. And I made him say it until he got it like he meant it. And he did. And so that's one part of it. And the other part was, he looked right at the camera. And the other part was, we use other imagery to make it less boring.
Show them in the environment.
Yeah. So, but this could have been pictures of ducks or, I mean, anything. Just not, you want it, not him the whole time. We call this B-roll. So one little tip I can give you, if you're thinking about making videos, whether you do it yourself or you hire somebody, start collecting things with your phone that can be incorporated into future videos. If you're out with a customer, it could be random stuff. I mean, just interesting things is what I'm talking about. All right, so next one.
This is a what not to do this one now?
No, this one's actually, this
It's
is
a
a
good
video.
I'm sure
When
we
I
would
think about design and the impact it has on people, it makes the difference with whether or not they're comfortable in their space. I mean, when you think that you're at an office, a normal day is at least 8 hours long. Don't you want to feel really comfortable there and be happy there and enjoy that experience of being there, whether you're in
Any thoughts on that?
an open office floor plan or whether you're in an individualized office?
She's talking about comfortable office space. She's sitting in a chair that's like twice her size.
Yeah.
I don't think she's very authoritative.
Well, I actually,
Her facial expressions look like she's in pain.
I don't think it's all that bad. I like the way that it's real. You could tell she's worked up about something. And maybe it needed to be framed a little bit better. But actually, this was a pretty decent example. But the reason I wanted
I
to,
like this chair.
She's too small for it.
Looks like a good nap chair.
maybe she's really tiny.
It's not good for what she's talking about. I needed the answer.
They couldn't find a chair small enough for her.
The chair's small.
So here's what I want to point out. So this is a screenshot of the video on YouTube. So the name of the title of this video is Why I Design Offices. Who's Googling why I design offices? No, but who's writing
Nobody.
why I design offices?
Nobody.
Even design offices. There's not any combination of words in that title that somebody would ever Google. Now, she doesn't know any better, but the point is this line right here is the title, and that is what needs to have the keywords in it. It's got to have what people are going to search for, plus something like, maybe this should have been office designer Stanford, hash pipe, half pipe.
Backstroke. Backstroke.
Hash pipe.
And then
We're back in college. Hash pipes. Nice. All right, it's over. Let's go.
what would be great, even if it was just in a general about her video, I always try to get a tip. Like if I'm doing a video for somebody, I want to get one little soundbite that's like, what advice can you give to somebody, whether they do business with you or not? You want them to walk away feeling like they got something out of watching your video, not just a sales pitch. So if she had that, she could have been, here's a tip. So maybe office designer, Stanford, half pipe, tips for picking the right chair for your office. Something like that is compelling. All right.
And the same thing with the description. The description is another index part of the Google search and the YouTube search. Even the description right there should, again, emulate exactly what was in the title for search. The more information you put in, there's also tags in the back end that we didn't talk about earlier, but when you upload your video, there's also tags in there. And forgive me if I'm wrong, and maybe somebody else could chime in on this. The tags, I thought Google or YouTube had said are a lot less relevant now than the title. I believe the title and the description are the two most important pieces, and then actually the tags, which you would think would be the most important, are actually got pushed down. Has anybody else seen that too, or read about that, or understand that as far? Because that was my last understanding. Some of the articles I read was that they actually downgraded the way people tag the videos, and they're putting more importance in the title and description more so than how you tag.
So another thing to point out in this video is from September 2013. There's 18 views. Woohoo! So, and she's got all kinds of videos on her page, and she paid somebody to do a pretty decent job, and there's no views. So it's not helping her. I need to contact this woman, but just by changing, for example, if you had a video that's not performing after a month or a couple weeks even, go edit the title. Go back in your existing video, change the title
Yep.
to something else. You're not going to hurt anything. And when you stumble upon something, you might just jump up.
Absolutely.
And then, what's that?
I thought you were helping her.
No, I know her, but I haven't had a conversation with her yet.
You haven't had the intervention yet?
Let's
Dylan, that's what it sounds like he's having, right?
It's like our talk. What's the
I
after?
think we need a video conference.
We're going to have a video after. We're going to make sure Mike gets in there. We're all going to help Mike get into that company so we can have an after video.
All right, so this one I love, and you got to be really quiet because it's hard to hear. I'm not going to say anything. Just watch it for about 30 seconds, and then we'll talk.
Whether you're running a small or big business, you need to stay on top of everything to be able to grow. You need to seize the right opportunity. You need to build efficient relationships with your customers. You need to get more done with fewer resources and get it all done on time. You need to transform ideas into results. You need to seamlessly collaborate with different people.
Get
You
to
need
the
to
point.
understand the wealth of
All right.
data.
Who writes shorter video?
Any comments?
What do they do?
You need a shorter video.
Yeah, who-
This is I got this from you. This is Zoho. This is the Kidology people.
Yes.
And I don't know anything about the product yet, but this video just caught my attention.
It goes on and on and on.
But that's not
You
it.
still don't know about the product yet.
What's the thing that I'm going to talk about here? Does anybody know? What's really wrong about this video?
Gibberish?
No? Nothing?
No people. No.
The music.
The music is terrible too.
Twilight Zone.
Right about the handshaking guy, which that was weird. The
Yeah.
weird handshake. I don't know who. That was like anime handshake.
Yeah, I don't know. It was.
Anyway,
Hash
I started getting angry watching this video. I mean, it's hard to hear, but when this music was loud, the music is just like so wrong.
depressing. I want
Now,
to
let
take
me-
Zolo.
It's The Exorcist.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
evil.
It's evil.
Here, look at some of the comments. I know you can't read this. I can't read it either. Okay, first comment under the YouTube video on the channel. The music is inappropriate. It's like you're telling in this video that you must grow like the big dogs and be one of those corporate money scums. This video is something. After 130,000 views, you think somebody would listen to the feedback and make changes. Show the software and features. Don't scare people and make things sound scary, intimidating. Okay, here's my favorite. Well, this was simply terrifying. At 11 seconds in, I got a panic attack because I literally started hyperventilating. I had a visceral reaction to this. I swear to God. And I started laughing. The music is just horrible.
It is. It's terrible. And it doesn't get to the point. It's just a big cluster.
But that was, I mean, I obsess over music because that really sets the mood.
You just feel like something's bad is going to happen.
Yeah, I think like an axe was going to come out of nowhere and chop the hands off as they were shaking or something.
I know. All right, so
They just have to use Pharrell Williams, Happy. And
There you go.
does anyone know Chris Morosino in this room?
Yes.
Here's his video.
I'm Chris Morosino. My business is Morosino Writing. I help my clients tell marketing stories that live profitably ever after. Every business has a story to tell, and they need to tell that story well. And they may tell it with a website. They may tell it with a blog. They may tell it with a brochure. There's 1,000 different ways to
So
tell
this
your
is one of mine, so
story.
you can't say anything
A lot
bad
of
about it.
people think, I want everybody to know all the wonderful things about my business. There are 101 wonderful things, and they need to know all of them.
Yeah.
And that's a danger.
So
What you
I just
wanna
wanted to
do
show
is
you
pick
something.
out
This is
the one thing that most
I mean,
differentiates your business, and you put that up front.
I don't know if
and
you
you
can tell.
support it
He's talking to me
with
off
a
camera.
subpoint and with another
So
subpoint,
this
and
literally,
you
I
say the same
interviewed
thing in a
him,
different way. So
and
you
I
keep
painlessly
hammering
went
home
through and
that
edited it up to
same
make a
message,
2-minute
the message
video.
that is most important.
And then we added,
And later on,
and this could be
we can
appropriate
talk
for
about
people
the other
in this room,
100
showing
things that make your
screenshots
business
of his
what it is.
work,
Make one
so
point
you get to know a little bit about
qualitative
him.
and not 10 points in a puny way. I will go to your website.
All right, so
and give you 15 to 20 minutes free of my
sorry, I know I'm talking over it, but we have a lot to get through still. So in this video, I think it came out pretty decent. You know, it's at least shows his work. You get to know his personality, and I was talking over it, but he gave a little tip when he's talking about, you know, don't try to be all things to all people. You know, have a target market in mind, so you walk away feeling like you learned something from the video. And then at the end, he gives a call to action. He tells you, now here's what you can do next. Here's how you can get started with me. So to me, that's got all the essential ingredients.
Absolutely.
So nurturing, stay top of mind. Stay top of mind with everyone while gently being the expert. And then the cartoon, if you can't read it. Everyone can see it?
No.
I didn't say I was unfulfilled, I said I was hollow. And it's a guy interviewing, there's a hollow Easter bunny, a chocolate bunny. So, in my experience, people are ready to buy when they're ready to buy. So, rather than try to be the star closer or salesperson, my approach has served me pretty well, which is I add people to my funnel, which is my email list. It could be social media for some people, but for me, I like to control it. I like to have the email address. So I get everyone I ever meet on my email list, and then I send out helpful content on a regular basis. Me, I do it about twice a month. I'll do, sometimes it's a video, sometimes it's just text, sometimes it's just a paragraph. It could be a link, here's a cool article I read. But what I'm talking about here with nurturing is staying top of mind. I don't even care if they read my emails or not. I'm in their their inbox on a somewhat regular basis. So 2 years down the road, a month down the road, they don't forget who I am. My number one goal actually is just don't get unsubscribed.
Right.
That's my goal. How can I write an email that has, if you're providing value, they're not gonna kill you. So you get too salesy and you're in trouble.
Yeah, and that's how you want to leverage social and everything else that you can do in the digital space too, is just be nurturing, continue to give good information, don't be salesy. Sales happens as a result of what you do. It shouldn't be it's the goal obviously, because no business survives without money. But the goal should be really to inform people and educate and stay in touch with them and engage with them and let them know you're a human and all these other things. And then the sales just naturally come from it afterwards. So don't make sales the focus of how you're utilizing some of these platforms. Make it the end game as far as once you've built these relationships, and it just comes organically. My company, I'll be honest, we survive almost 100% on organic sales, I call it, where I haven't ever made a cold call ever. I've never made a cold call. I've never done anything where I've gone out and sold to people. I've never done anything. And it's all because I have a consistent track record of continually giving people good information, educating them, and giving up. The days of where you really hold back and you charge people for every little thing you do are long gone, because so many people give away so much information for free. And people can Google things for free now and get a lot of information. So what you really need to do to compete in today's marketplace within the digital world is you really have to give a little bit away for free, or give a little bit of your knowledge away, or the information, or be very helpful. So when the time does come that they need to make a buying decision, who are they going to go to? Are they going to go to the annoying person who's picked up the phone call to call them 74 times and leave voicemails? Or are they going to come to the person who they feel is a thought leader or an authority, because you've been helping them all along, so you almost feel like they have to use you at that point? It's almost, I have a lot of Jewish friends. It's almost like guilty kind of thing, It's like you guilt them into eventually using them and stuff like that. But that's what it kind of is like giving and nurturing and helping, and eventually the sales come from that type of stuff.
Yeah. So to wrap this up, the way I do it, you're free to do what you want, but my experience is I get people into my funnel. So whether I meet them in person or they're a client, I try to ask permission, or I gauge whether it's something that they would. You can usually tell if somebody would be upset if you put them on your list or not. That's a whole different subject, but they go on my list, number one. So I'm always adding to the funnel. And then I'm sending out regular content, so I know every month I need to create content for the email. It's a priority. And then the next thing is I have offers. Now, I don't make, I make it very, it's not really a sales offer. It's kind of like, here's how you can get started. I love this analogy that this guy, Dean Jackson, who's like a marketing, one of the marketing gurus I follow. He said, if you come into my house and I say, here, I need to go get ready, we're going out to dinner, I'm not ready yet. Help yourself to a drink in the refrigerator, make yourself at home. You may just not do that. You might just sit down on the couch and wait. But if he came out and he said, here, have a drink. Or he came out and said, here's want a cookie. He put it in your face. He made it easy for them to say yes. So really what I'm talking about is create offers, create actions that people can take that you make it easy for them. Don't just say, free consultations. We're happy to help. Call me. Here's my, that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about click here to download our free white paper. Here's a questionnaire you can fill out to get started. We're having a conference call on this date. Come with your questions. Stuff like that. Make it easy for people. Leverage. So, I might be exaggerating a bit, but what I have is create a virtual sales force on YouTube. They'll sell for you 24/7 and their feelings never get hurt. And then what you have here is a cat on the couch, another psychiatrist, and the cat's problem is he's not on YouTube. Cat videos, right? YouTube's only cats and babies. No, not anymore. So, so my point here is by creating content, you can literally have all the questions that people ask, and you can create videos for all your sales processes. The way I look at it, you're bottling yourself. So any of the conversations that you have in person, you can capture in a video and have on your website and have on YouTube so that people can help themselves.
Yeah, it's 24/7, like you said. Once you put content out there, it lives forever, and that's why sometimes it's really good, procedure to try and hire a professional once in a while to do videos. There's nothing wrong. These iPhones, the video camera on my iPhone 5 is as good as a video camera that you could have bought 5-6 years ago for like $700. These things are freaking $700 now. But the video quality on these things are great for in-between stuff. But every once in a while, it is a good idea to hire, it's worth the investment to hire someone professional to come in and do a professional video that then becomes your feature piece. And then everything else you do in between then, because everybody has a budget, you can't spend tons of money on everything all the time, use things like this. But constantly create these type of things, constantly create content, constantly capture the moment in video and pictures, all these different things. It's silly when, some of my clients sometimes will say, well, we don't really have anything, we want to take some pictures and stuff, but we really don't want to get a photographer and all stuff. And it's like, how many people at your office have an iPhone 4 or 5? And they're like, well, everybody, or a Samsung or anything. Well, there's your video camera, because on YouTube and things like that, it doesn't always have to be the most perfect video. It doesn't always have to be the most perfect sound. And a lot of times it's capturing the moment. People love capturing the moment. It's why reality TV is the hottest thing on TV all the time, because people love real life. They like raw footage. They love seeing what's going on. I actually took film in college for my first year. I was going to be a filmographer or a director or something, dreams of Hollywood that my mother quickly squashed after the first year. But one of the whole things about the movie The Wizard of Oz is not the movie itself. It really takes place, the entire movie takes place in 10 seconds. And it's the man behind the curtain. That's the only thing that matters in that entire movie is the man behind the curtain. It's the whole point of the movie. Now, when a business, if you think about it from a business perspective, letting people behind the red curtain to understand who you are and build that relationship from you, giving them the little secrets behind there is powerful. You're really bringing people into your world. And who do people do business with? The people they know. So video, pictures, social, all these different things allow people to get to know who you are as a business and as people, and they do business with you based on those parameters.
So one thing I feel really strongly about is, I've been a salesman. I've done, I hated making cold calls, but where I am now as a business owner, I spend more of my time marketing. So when I go on a sales call, I always want them to have seen my video, at least one of my videos first. And it makes such a difference. And here, one of the reasons why, I think, when you're in a sales situation, there's tension. If you're sitting across the table, they're wondering how much is it going to be, when are they going to go for the close, when are they going to, put pressure on me, that kind of stuff. When somebody's watching a video, you have their undivided attention. It's safe. So they get to know about you beforehand. And so that's my experience. It's simple. I mean, I have people that have been getting my content, watching my videos for years. Out of the blue, they call me up and say, Mike, I'm ready to do business. I'm like, what's your name again? I don't remember their name, but they know who I am. And, I met with a dentist the other day, and I was at a huge disadvantage because my reputation did not precede me. I mean, really, that's what I'm talking about. I want to pave the road I want them to know about me, know, like, and trust me before I walk in that door. So when I walk in there, it's, okay, what do you need, how much, we're done. Right? Wouldn't that be nice?
I think most important is be who you are, and be who you are as a brand, even if whether you're an entrepreneur, a solo entrepreneur, or you have a staff of 3. Capturing, we didn't talk about culture of company, where we've been talking about individuals, but culture of company is the same thing almost, except on an extrapolated basis. For example, most of the people who know us know my culture of talking fingers. We're very fun and frivolous. We do goofy things in the office that we capture on pictures. Like we had a photo contest, where I would put on a blue wig. If whatever happened, it was a contest between me and my business partner of who had the cooler home office kind of thing. We had people voting on it, and whoever lost would have to wear the blue wig and hold up a sign, admitting defeat. So our culture of our company is we're fun and goofy and all these other things. Now that works for us because with social media we can get away with that stuff. When you're talking about more professional businesses, capturing the culture of the humans that work it. If you're a professional office, capture the culture of professionalism. That's when your content, you start talking about maybe the degrees that people have in a way, or what backgrounds they have that make them the perfect fit for the business, things like that. So you have individual people who have to shine personalities, but then you have the culture of your company that also needs to come through in videos and social media and everything else like that. And I think that's kind of how you have to encompass things. You almost have to figure out what the culture of your company is, what persona. And it doesn't mean a fake persona. I'm not saying you have to become an actor or an actress and make up a persona. Every company has a certain persona, and that's why people like doing business with you, is because they're attracted to that culture of your company. Let that shine through. Define your culture, define your persona, and then run with it, go with it. Because if it's working for you and you have a business that's successful, obviously your persona is working for you. If you have a business that's failing, sometimes it's a good way to look at your persona or the culture of your company. Maybe there's something about your culture that's alienating people. I'll give you a little case study. There was a dentist out in California who had a really great practice for years and years, and all of a sudden his practice started taking a little bit of a nosedive, all right? So what they did was, they started utilizing social media and started getting some feedback from people of, what about our office? They did some questionnaires, and they came to find out that really it was like the front office that was the deterrent to things, because the people in the front office weren't as friendly as the people who were there before and stuff like that. So the representation of the persona, the culture of the company was that the reception area, while the rest of the business was functioning perfectly because the dentists were top notch, they were very the nurses were great. That one piece or that one culture or that one persona was ruining the rest of the things. So identifying your culture and either embracing it or fixing it becomes important. And when you're talking about how you're going to write content or things like that for your company, that's what you should be kind of revolving around, is what you can say to people that brings them in behind that red curtain a little, without giving away too much, obviously. And that's why we have trouble with, I can't really help attorneys that much, because they can only show so much of the culture before they start getting in trouble with being able to say to it, I cannot help if you're a financial advisor, don't call me. I cannot help you at all because you have so many rules and regulations of what you're allowed to say. It's not even worth using social media, because if you can't say anything, you can't talk to people. So, there's different things, but embracing culture, I think, is, what I would say is a takeaway, and using that culture to use for your content and such like that. And that's a good point. You know, a social media or even doing some kind of video thing, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. You have to look at social as something you have to commit with. The clients of mine who have given up or potential people who have decided not to use us and then went on their own to use social media or things like that, and they've used it for 3 months and then they kind of give up because they didn't get anything out of it, it's not enough time. I mean, really, it's a marathon. It takes 3 to 6 months to really start building up an audience. It takes another couple of months to really engage that audience and turn them into what's called advocates, because really what you want to do is you don't, and I'm going to say this in kind of a mean way, but as no one would say, you don't necessarily care as much about the people who are engaged with you. You care about how far they can spread your name to those who don't know about you. And I'm saying it in kind of a mean way. Obviously, you do care about the people who are engaged with you. But the end game is to have those people, turn them from people who are engaging with you into advocates who will then share your content with other people or tell other people about you, and it goes on and on. And taking advantage of that viral aspect is super important, but you don't get there unless you actually make that commitment for a long term and having a good, consistent stream of content. Another thing is you can't post on Facebook 3 days in a row. Don't post, and I use Facebook just as an example because everybody knows it, or Instagram, whatever you use. You can't post 3 days in a row, give up for a week and a half, 2 weeks, and then post another 2 days in a row. It's not going to work. When you're talking about dissemination of content, it needs to be very concise. It needs to be consistent. You need to set up a calendar, a strategy. You have to develop things. It's just like marketing. It's more fun. I've been doing marketing for 22 years, and I think social's the most fun marketing I've ever done in my entire life. But it's still marketing. There has to be a strategy. There has to be goals. There has to be market research. You have to understand target, demographics, audiences. If you don't do that stuff and you're just going to get a Facebook page and just throw up funny pictures of cats for the next 2 months, you're probably not going to see much of an ROI on it. But if you understand your target audience and how to speak to those target audiences, and we even have to break it down further. Your target audiences on Facebook are different than Instagram, so you have to create streams of content for Facebook that would be attractive to the demographics that match Facebook, and different type of similar content that matches the demographics and how people receive content on that piece too. So while it could be similar pieces of content, the language you even use on the two needs to be slightly different so you attract them. And it's an excellent point.
So,
If you're talking about demographics, can you run over numbers as to how many are really using Facebook to get information?
If you Google, you know who does really good research is Pew Internet Research, PEW, Internet. They're probably the better ones that I've seen that are the most accurate for demographic breakdown of age groups that use social media actively. And that's the important thing. Don't look at any data that shows how many people are actually on Facebook, because 20% of them are completely bogus spam profiles. Another 15 are abandoned profiles. I have 4 profiles between me, my cat, a boat, and the hamsters in our family. We actually do. We have the hamsters have a page. My boat is Boat DeRosa. I have a Facebook profile for that. My cat Marley has his own profile. So when you start looking at those kind of numbers, they're all skewed. So what you actually want to look for is active daily users type of data, and that actually gives you a much better, clear understanding. And don't forget, you also want to make sure it's narrowed down to United States, because now, you know, things like Facebook are worldwide, so a lot of times these studies will show worldwide, and if you don't look at the numbers closely, you could think, wow, there's 1 billion people on Facebook. Yeah, but in the United States, it's really only 220 million, and out of that 220 million, you know, 40 million are fake, and this, and you start diving down the numbers. But Pew Internet Research has really good stuff on those kind, because they actually do hard data rather than. And the other thing is, you know, when you're looking for branding or company-wide stuff as far as data, or, you know, my favorite ones are, what's the best time to post on Facebook? And these great infographics that say from X amount of time to this, and you look at the background data, and it's based on like Pilot Pen and Bic and Subway and the 500 top brands. Well, your audience probably isn't the same audience as the 500 top big brands. So One thing I'll give you as a takeaway is your own analytics always, always, always determine your best times to post, your best times to do things. Read, learn analytics. We're very analytical, our company. Nothing goes by without some kind of data reference on it, and anything else is BS, because while you might think your best time to post on Facebook is a Wednesday, 2 o'clock, when you start analyzing data over a long term, you may actually find out that Friday at 9 o'clock is your best time, or even a Saturday when people are looking at all the pictures from last night from all their friends going out on a Friday night, that Saturday your audience is actually on there. Read your own data. Don't look at data that's collated by other people to understand what you need to do on social. Every social network has a dashboard with analytics. Even if you learn the basics of reading them, it will give you an excellent indication of what you need to do on the social networks. They are. And you know, the social networks have a vested interest for businesses, because if you think about the user profiles will always be free, because they have to have an audience there. So Bill DeRosa goes on Facebook, I'm never going to be charging. If you ever read anything about Facebook's going to start charging people, they're never going to do that. They make their money from us, from people who have pages, who pay for ads and all these other things. But they also have a vested interest for you to understand to make money out of that stuff. So all the social networks, and LinkedIn finally did that, the bubble thing where you do analytics. They all have awesome analytics. YouTube, I mean, Mike can tell you, YouTube actually tells you exactly when people stopped watching your videos. So that when you put a video up on YouTube and you start seeing a drop-off point at 15 seconds into the video, because it gives you all these analytics, you understand then that maybe the next video you make needs to, maybe the more important information needs to go in the front a little bit more, or maybe you need to change something about a transition that goes in there. Analytics tell a story in marketing. Anything else is fluff. Gut instincts can carry you so far, but data is the only thing that tells you if you're getting an ROI and what you're getting out of what you're putting into it. Anything else is guesswork.
So to kind of wrap this up, I know we're probably running late.
Oh, I think it's like 4 in the morning.
My goal with this presentation was that people would walk away with something that they can do without hiring anybody, just walking away with knowing something. Is there anyone that maybe wants to challenge us and that doesn't feel like they've gotten something out of this?
Any questions at all?
You know,
at all.
The last time we did this, you know, we had a really good example. The kid with the film trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, does anybody have, let's hear about your own personal case that you're curious how we can help you, how social or video can help your business. Does anyone have a, sure.
I have just from what you said about the video and that the YouTube videos are getting so much attention, are you saying that it's more important to have videos on YouTube than it is to have a website even? I mean, I'm trying to understand where the importance.
Well,
but is it important to have a video on your website?
Here's the thing about websites. You need a good website no matter what you do, because it's the only piece on the internet you actually own and can brand yourself. For that reason alone.
But if you don't have, if the keywords are, or the video is getting.
Well, what I was getting at is, it's a lot easier if you had your website versus YouTube. YouTube's a huge website, so having a YouTube video, you're going to get on Google, page 1 of Google, a lot faster than you will with your website, because your website has no clout.
So you're saying then do a video because they're going to find that before they find your website?
That's, I mean, the reality is you need to have a website, like Bill says. But I almost want to say to you, if it was one or the other, I'd start with the video, because you can have a video. I can get a video ranked on page 1 of Google in like a matter of weeks. Could take you 6 months or never with your website, depending on what.
Unless you buy the AdWords, buy into the whole.
Unless you pay for it, yeah.
So the video will hopefully drive them to your website.
Yes. Yeah. So the thing that can go wrong is you still need the website for credibility.
Yeah. No.
And link it out to your website. And in your website, videos that are on your website should be housed on YouTube and pushed towards your website as an embed, which also helps everything as well.
Thank you.
But you need, I mean, my website's kind of crappy, so I can't say anything, but you do need, no matter what, you will always need a top-notch website that's, you know, progressive and
Right.
works on every platform and everything else like that, because in the end, that's the only piece that actually tells your story in full, where it's branded to who you are. And it's really the only place that the rules don't change, except, as web guys know, algorithms and stuff for search will
But if
change.
you have one and no one's finding you, you're saying
Exactly.
do a
But the bigger point was, so it because of these properties, like, when I say a property, it's just like a place on the website. So Facebook, a YouTube, a LinkedIn, these are mega websites with tons of clout. It's kind of like the difference between having your content on CNN.com versus Joe'sPlumbingCompany.com. That, the little websites that we own have no clout, and so they're not going to show up. It's going to take a lot more effort to show up in Google. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
Anybody else? Questions?
Phil.
Okay, question. Obviously, you've raised probably far more questions than answers could be found for tonight, which was a good move, by the way. But I'm just...
Damn, he knows my tactics.
Realistic, okay? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being highly likely, 1 being not so likely, how likely is a typical small business going to be trying to do all this stuff on their own without the help of people like yourselves?
It depends on what their goals are for it, what their budgets are, and what their capacity. And what I mean by that is most companies should be able to set up basic social media, but the caveat is they need to really understand, you have to take a step back before you start talking about social and all this stuff. You have to do the diligent research first to understand who your target audience is, what the demographics are, and then match those to what the demographics are of the social networks. In other words, just because you want to be on Facebook because that's what you understand how to use, doesn't exactly mean that's where you should be, because if your target audience isn't on Facebook, you just set up a Facebook page for absolutely no reason, because who the heck are you talking to if you're trying to, example earlier was you're trying to market a product to the teenage sector. And so if you're not on Instagram or one of those ones where they're actively using and you decide you're going to set up a Facebook page, you'll get some out of the Facebook page, but you're really talking to people our age more now on Facebook than you ever were before, where all the kids are very mobile-based, so they're more on the mobile social networks like Vine and Twitter and Instagram and things like that. So if you don't understand that, that's the first key. You've already shot yourself in the foot. Beyond that, when you understand where people are and how they talk and everything else like that, setting up a Facebook page is relatively easy. Setting up an Instagram is relatively easy. That stuff is really easy. What the hard part then again comes in is, what do you actually post? What pieces of content should you put out there that's going to resonate with that audience so that they engage with you and then they spread. They feel like they should spread the stuff and become advocates. That's where the trick of having a professional, or at least somebody who can come in as a consultant. And I'm very adamant about companies should have some kind of consultant come in for almost anything. I'm not just talking about social. If you're going to do an email marketing campaign, this is where you're going to invest money for the next year and say, we're going to do an email campaign for the rest of this year on Constant Contact, and you just start doing it. I feel like you kind of wasted a little money, because for the cost it would have cost you for what, $125, $200 for $300 for a consultant to come in right from the get-go and say, this is what, here's all the studies, because they'll do research for you and everything, and say, here's what it is, here's your roadmap for the next year, and give you a direction. Then you can go on from there and handle it yourself. So I'm a big believer in consultants, and probably most people here do some kind of consulting work. I think consultants are invaluable. I've had consultants come in for different aspects of my business because I don't know everything and I'd rather spend a little bit more money up front to set me in the right direction than to just start it and then find out 3 months later that all of a sudden, man, I've been doing it wrong. And especially when you have people doing it for you internally, like if you're paying someone within your office to start doing content for you in social, for example, and then 2 months go by and you haven't gotten anything and the content is kind of crappy. Well, how much money did you just spend, like $3,000, whatever their pay scale is for the hours they put into doing all that? You just wasted a ton of money, where if you would have just had a consultant in the beginning or somebody teach you this stuff in the beginning and for a couple hours, you'd be ready to be on the right track. So, I think most companies can do it, but I think a lot of companies do it the wrong way, where they really should have taken a step back and understood things first and then implement it long term.
Quick follow-up question.
Sure.
So do you have like a an initial, before you get yourself into trouble, package where you give people that sort of roadmap?
Yeah, we
If
do.
they want to drive themselves the rest of the way?
Yeah, absolutely. We do a lot of consulting work, whether on Skype or in person, everything, where we actually do all the upfront research where we send a questionnaire where we get their feedback for what their target audiences are. Things like that. So you're giving me your information, but I never trust that because when you're inside your own business, sometimes it's a little skewed. So you give me your information that I collect, and then what I do is I do my own market research and competitor analysis to understand where your competitors have been positioned on social or things like that. And then I then go in for the consultation and show, here's what's working for your competitors, here's what's not. Here, based on with the information you gave me, this is the direction. But based on also what my perspective is from looking from the outside in, here's what I do. Because one of the things with content, and sorry to go so long, but it's important, I feel. One of the things about content is when you're internal to your company, you think this is what your audience wants to hear from, whereas somebody from the outside looking at business maybe has a better understanding of what would resonate with me that would want me to engage with you guys long term, or what I'd be willing to share with my friends and family based on what I like. So I think any consultant, I think, does the same thing though. It always has to be, here's your perspective from inside the business, here's my perspective from outside the business, and then here's where the two circles cross, and that's where we want to be right there.
Thank you, Bill. That was excellent. Unfortunately, we have
Yeah,
to
right.
wrap up,